Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Joanna Butler, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Private Ashley Chivers. This evening, we warmly welcome the delegation in attendance from the Royal Military College, Duntroon. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of A.B. Patterson College visiting from Arundel, Queensland. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Students and visitors who are able to do so may now be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Robert Kerrigan. Robert was born in Ballarat in around 1878 as Thomas Robert Kerrigan. Almost nothing is known of his early life. By 1900, Robert was living in Gullah-Gambin, New South Wales. In September of that year, he married Jane Ellen Masters. The couple lived in Canberra, New South Wales, where Robert worked as a miner. Between 1901 and 1912, Jane gave birth to 7 children, though only 5 survived beyond infancy. In 1913, Robert left Canberra and his family and relocated to Bolen in southern Queensland. There, he worked on Tongi Station as a labourer for the next 2 years. Robert Kerrigan enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force on the 29th of December 1914 in Cairns. For unknown reasons, he lied on his attestation papers, removing Thomas from his name, giving his age as 29 instead of 36, and stating that he was single. Jane would not be identified as his wife and rightful next of kin until October 1920. Kerrigan was assigned to the 15th Australian Infantry Battalion. Private Robert Kerrigan left Australia on the 13th of February 1915 in HMAT Sang Chun, bound for Egypt and then the Greek island of Lemnos in preparation for the landings on Gallipoli. Kerrigan landed with the 15th Battalion late in the afternoon of the 25th of April 1915. Over the next few weeks, he was involved in the attempts of the battalion to establish a secure position on the peninsula. Kerrigan was briefly declared wounded and missing on the 29th of May, but returned to his unit on the 31st after getting lost in the trenches. Throughout June and July, the 15th Battalion was involved in defending the front line. Kerrigan saw his next major action in early August when the 4th Brigade attacked Hill 971 in an attempt to break the stalemate between the Ottomans and the Allied forces. The 15th Battalion left its bivouac lines in Reserve Gully at around 10:20 p.m. on the 6th of August and moved into positions for the start of the attack. Although the battalion successfully advanced on the morning of the 7th, by dawn it was still well short of its objective because of the difficult terrain. The brigade attempted to capture the summit of Hill 971 on the 8th of August, but was unsuccessful. By that night, the 15th Battalion had sustained over 500 casualties, including 102 missing. One of the missing was Private Robert Kerrigan. During the battle, Kerrigan had been captured by the Ottomans on the 8th of August. He was transported from Gallipoli to Constantinople. For the next 18 months, Kerrigan was based largely in the prisoner of war camp at Belomedic, working on the construction of the Baghdad to Berlin railway. In late 1916, Kerrigan was transferred from the Taurus Mountains to hospital at Afyon Kara Hisar, suffering from malaria. Despite receiving medical treatment, Kerrigan died on the 15th of February 1917. He was 39 years old. Kerrigan was originally buried in the Armenian cemetery at Afyon Kara Hisar with a grave marker erected by his fellow prisoners of war. In the late 1920s, as part of efforts to consolidate prisoner of war graves from across the Ottoman Empire, Kerrigan's body was exhumed and reburied in Baghdad War Cemetery. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Robert Kerrigan, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere, or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.